All right. Let's go. Jets get back on track, improved to 7-4. New York Jets beat the Chicago Bears 31-10. And it's the Mike White Show. It's the Mike White Show. Oh, man. This feels good. That's what competent offense is supposed to look like. After having 9 completions all of last week, Mike White comes out 22 of 28 for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. Oh, eat my heart out. Oh, this is nice. Do the Jets have a quarterback controversy? Do they not have a quarterback controversy? That should be the interesting poll question, right? Like, is Mike White QB1? Is that what we're doing now? I love it. The guy ran the offense efficiently, effectively, and everyone got involved. 10 receivers. 10 players caught balls. Garrett Wilson leads the way. 5 receptions, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 1 touchdown, a little bit of a gift with Eddie Jackson going down. Elijah Moore, 2 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. That was nice to see. Obviously, Elijah Moore getting back involved. You got to think he's feeling pretty good about having Mike White as his quarterback. Tyler Conklin gets 3 catches for 50 yards. Zonovan Knight, first action for him, 3 catches, 34 yards. Uzama, 3 catches, 17 yards. Ty Johnson had a catch. Michael Carter had a catch. Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Braxton Barrows. Literally 10 dudes. There were more players that got receptions this week. Different players. Different players got receptions this week than Zach Wilson had all of last game. Hold on. Let me reword that. Mike White got more wide receivers and players involved receiving the ball than Zach Wilson had completions all of last week. Mike White, in 4 career starts, has 2 300-yard games, both coming with victories attached to him. Zach Wilson has 1 300-yard game in 20 starts, and there's a loss attributed to that one. Oh, yes. I love it. This is good. Now, remember, we got to keep things a little bit in perspective here. Bears are a beat-up team right now. They just traded away their 2 best defensive players, so they are hurting on that side of the ball. They didn't have their starting quarterback in Justin Fields. Heck, we didn't even know if Simeon was going to play up until like 5 minutes before the game started. Really, like, as they're running out to, like, start on offense. We had no idea who the quarterback was going to be for the Bears. Crazy. So, the Jets take care of business. That's what I want to keep in mind here. This isn't like some glorious win, but it is very good to see Mike White be able to handle the offense this way. And I guess the question that I think a lot of people are going to have is, could Zach Wilson have had a similar game, similar stat line, if it was for him playing against this defense? Does this game look any different? I think it would look entirely different. I think Mike White made the plays he had to make. I think he just looked effective, and the players were having a blast. This is great. He's going to have a nice little bit of confidence going into the Minnesota game. Obviously, Minnesota's going to try and eliminate some of what Mike White likes to do. So I'm going to be curious to see how we kind of respond each way going into next week. But this is solid. This was a nice little game from Mike White. No issues whatsoever. Zonovan Knight led the way with 14 carries, 69 yards. That's good for 4.9 yards per carry. That is him coming in place of James Robinson. Obviously, Jeff Smith did not play with us activating Corey Davis. The Jets needed some special teams help because Jeff Smith wasn't going to be playing, so they deactivate Robinson, who was kind of dealing with a knee anyway, in place of Bam Knight. I really like Bam Knight. He's playing well. Jets have a whole lot of options here, and everyone's getting involved with this type of offense. And this is nice. This is how you keep spirits up and keep people happy. And the Jets left 6 points on the board. You had the muffed snap on the field goal hold, and you had the missed kick. So the Jets really could have even hung it a little more on them. Not to mention they took their foot off the gas and they literally just ran the ball for the final 7-8 minutes of the game. Ugh. It's nice. It felt like a complete team win. The defense had me a little worried at the beginning. I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting there watching. I'm thinking like, well, maybe the defense was preparing for Justin Fields all week and they just assumed he wasn't going to be able to pass. And like Simeon comes out slinging the rock all over. I'm like, oh, that's not looking great. We're down 10-7. And this is not how I want this game to go. I don't know. I'm just happy we get the W. 7-4, baby. Brian Bogan comes in, says, imagine if there was no rain and he had AVT in Hall. That's going to be the interesting, conversation that starts to come up. Is Mike White enough over these next 7 games, or I guess next 6 games at this point, to justify giving him a contract to bring him back and forego possibly going after a quarterback in the offseason? Or does Zach, do we ever even think of Zach? Like, does he even come back? Does Mike White have one of those games like he had against Buffalo towards the end of last year? I hope not. I want to see more of this Mike White. There are a few passes that I think were, I don't want to say questionable, but a few that were like, ooh, that could have been an interception. The long one to Garrett Wilson. Now, I don't have a side angle of it, so I don't know exactly where the ball was when I think it was a linebacker, jumped up in the air, but that looked like that could have been an interception. Great throw. That was the one that Eddie Jackson got hurt on. This is nice. Aaron Honore says the difference is Mike White made the easy throws. That's exactly it. You get your young playmakers involved. These guys are electric. Get the ball in their hands in space, and they can make guys miss. I don't know what the average depth of throw was. Obviously they had the touchdown to Elijah Moore, the long pass to Elijah Moore, the 2 touchdowns to Garrett Wilson. But I'd love to know where the majority of the passes went. Like, how far? Was it like 6-7 yards down the field? It felt like guys were just wide open. Like, literally every play. I'm like, oh, that's, that makes sense. That guy's wide open. With Zach, I'm like, there's no one open. No, the receivers are running bad routes. Mike LaFleur's calling a bad offense. No, this was exactly what the doctor ordered. Exactly what we needed. John O'Sullivan says, Zach who? Pseudo Spike says, Zach who? Purple Tape says, Zach's trash. James D says, Mike White, baby. That's right. There's a poll question in the live chat. Is Mike White QB1? Yes, 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 or those are the 4 options. Maybe I should have included a no in there. I didn't want to do that, though, because I'm enjoying it. This is going to be fascinating to watch. Genuinely fascinating. Craig says, let Zach develop while White is QB1. Look, Zach's not getting the ball back as long as White continues to play in this kind of capacity. There's no point in having him play at all. Not when your quarterback's playing this well. I think the offense is happy. I think LaFleur and Saleh are happy. You're finally seeing competent offensive play and moving the ball down the field. That's kind of what we saw with Flacco. It's kind of what we saw with obviously with White last year. It's nice to see. I don't know what the future holds for Zach Wilson, but if White keeps playing like this, I don't care. I do not care. Kyle says, Mike LaFleur called a terrible game versus a great game with no Herbig, Davis, or Mitchell. Mike LaFleur called a great game versus a terrible team with those guys healthy. That doesn't change the fact. Regardless, I don't really agree with this comment, at all. But when Zach can't hit an easy throw, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. He couldn't hit a swing pass. Couldn't hit a guy in the flat. 9 completions last week. 9 completions from Zach Wilson. Mike White completed more passes to different wide receivers this week than Zach Wilson had completions last week. 10 receivers got involved for the Jets this week. This is a quarterback problem, not an offensive coordinator problem, in my opinion. Now, obviously, there's a vastly different defense when you're talking about the Patriots defense, coached by Bill Belichick, and the Bears defense, who traded away their two best players without a starting quarterback. Like there's absolutely a difference there, but the offense looked competent. Like, I don't know how you can spin it any other way. Mike White could have had another 400-yard performance. If the Bears were able to keep this remotely close, the Jets would have had a zillion more yards. That's what we're looking at. In a close game, the Jets were afraid to let Zach Wilson throw the ball. I saw confidence in Mike White. Now, maybe it took a little bit of time as they started to feel more comfortable, get a little bit of a rhythm going. I loved it. I think this was great. Daniel Vargas says, Bears may be trash, but I'm the end. White played the way we needed an average quarterback to play, and Mims needs to stop body catching, by the way. Good news is that we beat the coin. Bad news is we beat the coin. That's right. The coin ends at 11-0. It's correct versus incorrect sign. So I'm glad we broke the streak. I don't want to see a loss to the Bears. A loss to the Bears when they were playing their backup quarterback would have been incredibly devastating for the confidence of this team. So I'm really glad the coin was not right here. But yeah, this is what you get with average quarterback play. So like, I'm fascinated to see what happens with Mike White the rest of the way out this season, and how the Jets want to approach it for next year. Because I'm still on board with Jimmy G. Like, regardless of kind of how Mike White plays, I don't know. I mean, unless Mike White goes for like 300 yards every game, and you want to say, okay, it's going to be Mike White versus Gardner Minshew versus Zach Wilson, I could get on board with that. But I don't think, I don't know if like this type of performance prevents me from going after a quarterback that I think is, I would say, above average in Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know. I'm just happy. I'm going to enjoy this one. This was a nice one. James says, great game by White. Don't want to get too excited, though. Not sure if we have our quarterback of the future on the roster. Need to see multiple weeks of this. I completely agree. This is a game the Jets needed to win. It was against a backup quarterback with a bad defense. The Jets had to win this game. If the Jets wanted to prove they were a decent team, they play their backup in Mike White, they get this W. Jets got it. They took care of business. In years past, this feels like a game that the Jets flub up. And when I saw the beginning portion and how the defense was playing and Claypool getting the catch over Sauce, I was like, oh no, we're going to do the Jet thing. I don't want to do it. Please no. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but it just looked rough for maybe like the first quarter or so. And then it felt like we started getting to a rhythm, and I think it was 17-10 at half, and it felt like the Jets were really going to turn it on, and that's really what happened. The Jets demolished the Bears in the third quarter and then just ran the clock out in the fourth quarter. Jets only needed 3 quarters to really dominate this game. So I love this. Jonathan Moore, what's up, dude? He says, what color should I get my Mike White jersey? John, white. Come on. You got to get the white jersey in white. Or do you get the black jersey or the white jersey? Do you get the white jersey in black, right? That's weird. You get the white jersey in white or the black jersey. You get the white jersey in black because he won with the black jersey. Oh, it's great. Blitz Crew says, think Moore wants a trade still. No, I think the best way to fix any sort of divisiveness in the locker room is by not playing Zach Wilson. Like, Elijah Moore is getting involved. He's clearly a good player. Like, if I had to give up on one of Zach Wilson or Elijah Moore, I'm giving up on Zach Wilson. And that's not to say I'm actually giving up on Zach Wilson right now, but I'm saying you're going into next offseason. Elijah Moore does not seem to be the problem. It seems like it is the quarterback through and through. So even if Mike White's not the guy, someone else has to come in. I think you hold on to Elijah Moore. I don't think you trade him. I would say there's a very more realistic possibility, especially if Zach's maybe not our quarterback going into next year, that you do cut Corey Davis. And Corey Davis is someone I did not want to move on from, but when the connection with Zach Wilson was kind of the reason you wanted to hold on to him, or at least maybe the reason I wanted to hold on to him, because I didn't want to take our quarterback, our young quarterback's top favorite wide receiver that he likes targeting. I think if Zach's not the guy, you cut him, you save the money. I like Corey Davis, but now you hold on to Elijah Moore. Now you're cooking with fire. Like this. Thomas Cahill comes in, says, prepare for meaningful games in December, guys. That's right. 7-4. We wanted to see our little name in the emoji corner of the in the hunt. Well, before today, the Jets were in the 7th seed. I don't know where we're at now. We got to be feeling pretty good about ourselves. I want to see what the percentage chance of the Jets making the playoffs is at this point. As far as the Bears went today, 14 of 25 from Trevor Siemian, 179 yards, a touchdown and interception. The majority of that damage was done in the first quarter. They had like 4 20-plus yard plays in the first quarter of play. And I'm not sure they had any after that. So it was nice to see. Claypool had the 2 receptions for 51 yards. He had the 31-yarder, I believe it was, on Sauce. I'll be honest, I thought Claypool had a clever move. I think he drew the penalty on Sauce. Sauce didn't get his head around, but it felt like Claypool kind of like went over his head to make it look worse than it was. It looked like Sauce couldn't turn around because of the arm over top of him. But yeah, I guess there was a little concern. Even like the Reed touchdown that was given up, like he was all over him. That felt very similar to like the Bryce Hall touchdown that was given up against the Ravens, all over the receiver. And the receiver just makes a phenomenal catch. I have no idea how Pringle caught that. It doesn't seem like that should have been a catch. Obviously it was, but I like Reed's defense. I think the biggest question mark today was from special teams and Braden Mann's judgment. The thought of pitching it forward is either a really good thought because he killed the ball as it being an incomplete pass, but I thought he was trying to get it to Zerline to try and get like a first down because I think it was like a 4th and I don't know, it was 3 or 4. Maybe he knew that was going to be an incomplete pass, and that's why he did it. I'll have to watch some post-game stuff and see if there's any comments on that because that had like return written all over it. I was like getting so fired. I was like, no way. Jets are going to give this up right now. Scott says, tamper expectations. White had a nice game. We seen this last year with him. When the wheels fell, then the wheels fell off. Won't be surprised if Zach is back after next week. I've been saying I think Zach comes back for the Lions game. I think we see White play well in a loss, possibly, versus the Vikings. And then I think we go against the Bills, and he got his, got banged around a little bit last year against the Bills, but he didn't have any weapons. So do the Bills still have his number? If it winds up getting ugly like it did last year, then you have the ability to go back to Zach. But I think because White had the game he had, I think you give him maybe a little bit of a clunker of a game. If he has that kind of game against the Vikings, let him show you if he can rebound versus the division rival Bills. And then if he can't do that, then I think you can go back to Zach Wilson. But this offense just looked so much more alive. Like this is how a team can play when you have, your weapons and your playmakers getting the ball in space. Really, really nice to see this. But yeah, look, you got to temper expectations because this, again, like I'm saying, bad Bears team, backup quarterback, like no defense to speak of. Jets had to put up this kind of game. If Zach Wilson had this type of performance today, are we talking about it in the same light that we are Mike White? I don't believe we are. I don't think we would be talking about Zach the same way. Because we'd be saying, oh, well, this was a bad defense. Oh, it was the Bears. And we'd be making all these excuses. Because White is the backup and because he's just coming in this week and he has this game, I think this is the performance he needed to have. Not that he would have been pulled if he had 2 touchdowns and 275 or something like that. But I think this was the expected result for a quarterback playing the Bears when they are down the players they're down. I think this makes sense. Chris Mazer says, it's going to change, but currently number 6. So we are the number 6 seed as it stands right now. I guess we have to wait and see how the 4 o'clock games and the tonight and tomorrow's games pan out. Joe S. says, I'm just happy we won on Revis Day. Right? Because we lost on Mangold Day. Mangold Day was the Bengal game. And then, or no, was that the DeBerkeshaw Day? That might have been the DeBerkeshaw Day. And was it the Patriot game was the other one? Was the Mangold game? So we lost for like the 2 Ring of Honor games prior, and we get this one. Love it. Nice to get a W with Revis watching on. Blitzcrew says, where is it? Blitzcrew says, curious why MCC not getting the most carries, Michael Carter. What's with our tackling? Need to wrap up. Yeah, the defense came out a little flat to start the game. They definitely kicked it on a little bit later. The wrapping up has been a little bit of an issue the last 2 weeks. I'd like to see them clean that up before next week because Dalvin Cook will make you pay. Justin Jefferson will make you pay. Thielen will make you pay. You can't have non-wrap-ups against a good offense. And the Vikings have a good offense. They have a ton of weapons across that team. So you got to do that. Michael Carter not getting the most carries. I think some of that has to do with the hot hand. Some of it has to do with keeping guys healthy. Like when you are leading the way you are leading, Michael Carter had 6 carries, 21 yards, 3.5 yards per carry, and he had 2 receptions for 15 yards. Zonovan Knight was just playing a little bit better today. Ty Johnson looking pretty good today. 5 carries, 62 yards, 12.4 yards per carry and a touchdown. Now, obviously, the long touchdown helps that, but there's no reason to risk the health of Michael Carter when you have 2 guys who are your running back 3 and running back 4 who are playing well. No reason to force Michael Carter to do that. I don't believe he's hurt. I see you guys saying that in there. Drug says he got hurt. LOL. I'll be honest, I had no idea Michael Carter got hurt. What did he hurt? Sprained ankle is what people are saying. All right, so that's why he had more carries. See, that's why we do the post game. R&R says, as a Bears fan, y'all took Zach over Justin. Bears down. Yeah, we took Zach. Look, if Field starts lighting it up via the pass in the next year or 2, the Jets will have made the wrong decision. You can say the Jets made the wrong decision right now. I'm not sure the right decision would have been to take Fields. I think right now, with hindsight being 2020, I would say the correct move would have been trading down from 2 with the 49ers, get the haul of picks that Miami got, and then you pick up Jimmy Garoppolo in that trade. That is the hindsight trade I would have liked to have made. I would not have taken any quarterback in that draft had we known what this was going to wind up as. And that's not, I don't want to say that as a knock on Fields, but the way he's running right now has shown not to be sustainable. Maybe he breaks that, and maybe he gets the arm strength going. I shouldn't say the arm strength, but gets the arm going in the passing game. And then I'll feel a little bit, more maybe in his corner. But given hindsight, I would have not taken the quarterback. B. West says, Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore definitely prefer White and Flacco. Absolutely. You see where all those balls were located? Each throw was like right where the receiver or the tight end or the running back could catch it and get some yak. That's what you need. You need to have that. So yeah, I do think they like White. I do think they like Flacco more. I think it's going to be hard to go back to Zach right now. Chris Mazer says, Michael Carter had an ankle mid-game. Obviously, not fantastic to see that. Tyrone, I see your chat in there from the other day, says, love the way Mike White spreads the ball around. I agree, Tyrone. I think that's important. I think it keeps defenses off balance, too. It doesn't allow them to key in on one specific player. J-Boy says, Mike White showed Zach how the F to run the offense. Joe Flacco, Mike White, Josh Johnson, all these guys have shown Zach Wilson how to run the offense. I don't know what the answer is with Zach. Do you bring back Beck as his quarterback coach? Are you even allowed to do that? Because it's kind of like that's his private quarterback coach. I know there's some sort of rules that you're not allowed to see that person in the offseason if he's a team official or a team coach because of the CBA. So I know he obviously doesn't want to lose that connection. But I feel like you got to bring in someone to help Zach. Otherwise, we're just going to keep rolling with Mike White. There's no reason to go back to Zach when you're playing that well. Rafi says Adam Gase was losing to the winless Bengals. I don't know what that means. Were they losing? I don't remember any of that. The Adam Gase era is like a really bad time in your life that you just kind of block out. Like normally you got to go to therapy to have this kind of like, walls built up. I have sheltered myself away from the Adam Gase effect that was on this team. James Bernard says, bring in Kurt Warner. That's a popular thing that Jet fans are saying right now. I would like to believe Mike LaFleur and our quarterback coach can lead the turnaround that could be Zach's mechanics. But I'll be honest, if he doesn't pan out, I don't know if there's anything Zach can do in these final 6 games that would make me feel comfortable solely rolling the dice on him next year. Like, I'm still feeling bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo. If Carr shakes free, maybe you go after him. I don't know. Who knows? Guys trying to come up with nicknames for Mike White. Psh, we don't need to come up with a nickname. I want to be like Mike. That's what I want to be. Bring it back. D-Rock saying, we need a young quarterback, Ryan. We don't need a young quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is 31 years old. That's young enough. Our Super Bowl window is going to be for the next 3 or 4 years. That's what we need a quarterback for. I want to get the best quarterback for the next 3 or 4 years. That's not going to be a young quarterback as far as like a rookie goes, I mean. Because if you're bringing in a rookie, you're saying you're going to have him sit and learn for a year, maybe 2 years before he feels comfortable at the NFL speed knowing this very difficult playbook. I think you get someone who knows the offense already, someone with a pretty high ceiling who's been in a Super Bowl already. Just my thoughts there. Nunzio says, White's 4 interceptions against Buffalo was against a good defense with a trash offense. Yeah, he had no weapons to throw to. I don't think we're going to see Mike White play that bad. I could see him having a few interceptions. He could have had 1 or 2 today. But I think overall, this is a positive move for the New York Jets. The Jets will be able to make the playoffs with Mike White at quarterback. V-Man says, imagine if the Pats sweep us, yet they still miss the playoffs and we don't. Imagine how much that would get under their skin. Yeah, they could sweep us all day, every day, if it means we're getting in the playoffs, and they don't. I'm totally fine with that. Screw them. Couldn't have happened to a better team. Yeah, no. This is nice. I'm glad we were only in the basement of the division for 4 days or whatever. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then by Thursday night, the Patriots were back in the basement where they belong. J.E. says, Mike White is better than Zach Wilson, unfortunately. No, this is fortunately. We want to have players be better than other players. Like, I don't want to have a player that's worse and have to go to another player that may also be worse. This is a good thing. Edward Stewart says, Zach Darnold. Ugh. Oh, I hate that. Juan says, why are we even entertaining another quarterback if White plays well? Because White's not under contract next year. If White continues to have games like this through the duration of the season, I still think you bring in some type of competition. I don't think I would go with just Mike White towards the easy part of our schedule to lead us on a Super Bowl run next year. That feels aggressively optimistic. I would bring Mike White back 100%, or I'd try to. I think I would probably be looking to still bring in a quarterback, though. It just might change the quarterback that I want. Like Jimmy G is going to require probably $30 to $35 million a year. If you go with Mike White, then you probably look at someone like maybe Gardner Minshew. Let those two duke it out with Zach kind of getting whatever reps he can. And then I'd feel more comfortable with that quarterback battle. If you want to save a little bit of money, bring back some of your other players. If you think White has the potential to do just enough to have us win a Super Bowl, or Gardner Minshew can do just enough to have us win a Super Bowl, I would just be concerned to roll with Mike White and Zach as our only two quarterbacks for next year. Mumtaz says, I think the poll is rigged. Yeah, it's rigged. Every answer is a yes. 13% of you probably got a good laugh out of number 4. So I like that, though. J-Boy says, Zach looked pissed. Mike White was doing great. He's a kid. Look, I don't know how you could be Zach Wilson and be happy with this game. Like, yes, you got to win, but like you clearly look worse in the eyes of the fan base, in the eyes of the coaches, in the eyes of the locker room. And there's absolutely a difference in the quality of competition from last week to this week. But Mike White just got the ball to our playmakers in position where they can get yak, and he didn't turn the ball over. The offense ran effectively, even when the Bears knew what we were going to do. We still got yardage on the ground. Offensive line played well. I think we had, one sack maybe against us? Sounds right. Let's take a look. How many sacks? 1 sack. And that was the kind of blindside sack from, was it McGovern that gave it up? It was like a D tackle coming up the middle. Stifler's mom says, I think Zach has always been a project quarterback. Yeah, drafting him out of BYU was going to have that type of effect, but I think they were trying to hope that he could win on the job. You can win while you're taking the reps and seeing the game in front of you, seeing what that speed is like. I don't think you're going to learn a lot from I don't want to call it a small school, but not an SEC school in BYU while being solely on the sidelines. Zach Wilson, if he was taken in the second round, where there's less expectation, and maybe not having to start him right away, maybe he has a better start to his career. I think the expectations of high draft pick quarterbacks are so astronomical, and it kind of goes to their head because they're like, oh, I'm the face of the franchise. I got another shot. I'm going to get another shot. I'm going to have another shot. And they keep kind of thinking that way. I don't know. I mean, Zach Wilson's going to have to eat some humble pie because Mike White is clearly liked in this locker room, and it's clear as day that he runs the offense much better than Zach. And we didn't see him running around like crazy. I love it. It's nice to see. Mumtaz comes in, says, so good to see Elijah Moore celebrate and be happy. Was mad at him, but it shows give these guys a shot and they can do something. Same for Ty Johnson. I agree. I was really sour on Elijah Moore. I was so ready to ship this dude off, deactivate his ass for the entire year. I was all about like, okay, Zach's our guy. Why is Elijah Moore kicking and screaming right now? We're on a winning streak. Well, from the Patriot game, the Bills game, and the Patriot game, those 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, plus the not so great performances in the wins that we had with Zach Wilson, I'm in Elijah Moore's corner. I'll be honest. Especially after AVT and Corey Davis and Breece Hall go down, I'm thinking like, oh, well, Elijah Moore, you could really, really bounce back and make us happy if you can get us a win. Well, he comes back, goes on the bye, resets his mind, He feels fresh. It feels like there's a shift here. And now that you're seeing all these players get involved, now everyone has a hand in a victory. Not just the defense and 9 players. I shouldn't say 9 players, 9 completions. Not that we got that win even. Ugh. And Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson scares me every time he's out on the field, but he runs hard and he's good. If he can catch the ball, I think we give him a little bit more shit than we probably should because of the drops. I think it was against the Jaguars. He had like 3 drops and I think 3 attempts. It was really ugly last year. But it's nice to see Elijah Moore kind of have his, I don't want to call it a reclamation game, but this felt like his coming out party for this year. Ty Johnson, feeling good. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know. Let me look it up first. Let me see this before I say it out loud. Zach Wilson this year has a total of 4 passing touchdowns. Mike White almost matched that today. I think if they don't run the ball in the fourth quarter, Mike White exceeds that. That's wild. Absolutely wild. To think that could be a stat. Your starting quarterback almost has the same amount of touchdowns as the guy that backed him up for 1 game. Ugh. Ugh. Crazy. Yo, let's talk about Greg Zuerlein for a second, too. How about that monster kick in the rain? 57 yards. That kick could have been good from 70. You see how high that was? That was like over halfway up the goalposts. Dead center. Monster kick. That's why they call him Legatron. He did have the missed field goal. I'm not going to give him too much crap for that. That was another long one, 45 plus, 53 yards maybe. I think you're given the benefit of the doubt, given the conditions of today. Special teams having a little bit of a rough go about it the last 2 weeks of the punt return touchdown last week and the flubbed field goal attempt this week, where it was like almost like, oh no, we're going to lose to the damn Bears. Cannot lose the damn Bears. Can't have that happen. Justin Tucker was so close. How far was the kick that Justin Tucker just tried to kick? I want to see 67-yarder. Is that what he just tried to kick? Is that accurate? Wow! Holy hell. They just missed it. Tucker's incredible. He'll go down as, like, I don't know if he's going to be the most clutch kicker. He's definitely the best quality kicker, with Vinatieri having the most, I feel like, impressive game-winning kicks, because I think 2 or 3 of them came in Super Bowls, and then he had, obviously, the Tuck Rule game. 67 yards. Jesus. It's a hell of a boot. Jags just upset the Ravens. Helps us, right? Hey, the more the Bengals lose and Jacksonville lose, one of them has to win the division. And I guess it doesn't really matter to us which one it is. It depends which one you would prefer to play in the playoffs, which for me, I guess, is probably the Bengals. Lamar just scares the shit out of me. I know you might think like, okay, maybe his arm isn't quite what Burrow's arm is, and the Bengals have a lot of weapons over there. He's just so game-breaking. I don't know who I'd want to get in if I had to pick one of those 2 teams. I think both of them right now are technically in the playoffs, because I think it's the... Actually, let's see what the playoff... What do the playoffs look like? Let's see. As it sits right now, Chiefs are 1, Bills are 2, Titans 3. They haven't updated it, so it says Ravens are 4 right now. So if they're 7-4, and the Bengals are playing the Titans this week. I don't know where their game is out right now. So if they move up, Ravens move down. That would bump us down to 7, I guess, because the Ravens have the tiebreaker on us. The Bengals have the tiebreaker on us with even records. So we really need the Bengals to lose today. EK says, because Ravens lose, Jets are now out of the playoffs. Did the Bengals lose or win today? I didn't see that. No, it shouldn't knock us out of the playoffs because the Patriots are still below us. There's no team, like we might slide down to the 7 seed. So Bengals win if they're 6-4. Is that right? So they would be 7-4. Bengals won. Very short card. Sorry, just trying to look and see what's going on. Yeah, I think we're sitting in the 7 seed then, right? Let me know if I'm wrong there. Mike Jerome says, Mike White had a great game. You could tell the team came out fired up. Hard to compare, though. Bears are terrible on defense. Don't want to fall for Mike White yet. Deja vu. Yeah, remember the 4 days after the Bengal game last year? Mike White was everything. Mike White's QB1. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Maybe we give it a few games. Let's see how he does against the Bengals, or let's see how he does against Minnesota. Let's see what he does against the Bills. If he has good games, like I'm talking 250 yards, 2 touchdowns each of the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be feeling pretty good about Mike White. Now, if he can get a 300-yard performance and a win over one of these 2 teams, now we're feeling pretty good. See you guys saying the Jets are in the 7th seed. Yeah, okay, that makes sense then. So we really got to hope for both those teams to lose in the coming weeks. I was really hoping Tennessee would beat the Bengals today. Tennessee's kind of a not so great team. Everyone's like right at 7-4. I think it's going to take 11 wins to get into the playoffs this year. The Patriots losing definitely helped. Chargers have to lose. I don't know when they play the Cardinals. Are they on right now? Woof. James Bernard said, or we could just sweep the Bills in Miami. If we can beat the Bills and Miami with our backup quarterback, and like the Miami fans are like, oh, you beat us without Tua and without Teddy Bridgewater. They could go pound sand. Kick rocks. Take a long walk off a short pier, boys and girls. Jets had a backup quarterback playing against a backup quarterback today, and we thumped the Bears. Thumped them. Took care of business. All right, boys and girls, let's wrap this up. Let's go back over some of these comments, some of the stats and whatnot. June says, Bengals won today. Thank you, dude. Much appreciated. All right, let's circle back around. Mike White finishes the day 22 of 28, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. I do have the every throw from Mike White up if you want to take a look at that. That is posted. Zonovan Knight leads the way, 14 carries, 69 yards, 4.9 yards per carry. Ty Johnson has 5 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown, good for 12.4 yards a carry. It seems like Michael Carter left the game with an ankle injury, so hopefully he's doing all right. Garrett Wilson leads the way for the receivers, 5 receptions for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Elijah Moore gets involved, gets his first touchdown of the year, 2 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Tyler Conklin leading the way for the tight ends, 3 receptions, 50 yards. Good to get him involved as well. Jets wound up with, 1 sack? All right, 1.5 sacks? 2 sacks. We had 2 sacks. Nathan Shepard had half a sack. John Franklin Myers had half a sack. Bryce Huff, screaming off the edge, had another sack. Love this. Jets taking care of business. Nothing crazy flashy, but it's got me feeling confident. Got me feeling confident. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How'd you feel about today's game? How much does it mean that Zach was not in there putting up the stat line that Mike White did. How much does it mean that Mike White did this? What do you think it means for the next 6 games? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.